So I'm here with Utkarsh Lokesh. Thank you very much for coming here. I said I pronounced it correctly.
Oh yes, thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
It's great to having you here. And you're the founder and editor of EdTechReview.
Yeah,
right?
correct.
Can you tell us a little bit about what it is?
Sure. EdTechReview is actually India's leading media around EdTech, and all our effort goes into producing news, information, and resources for the EdTech stakeholders, and from various stakeholder perspectives. So we cover it from a student, teacher, educator, education leader, investor, EdTech founder perspective, and we try and cover it complete ecosystem, and we try and cover it from from news, trends, insights, interviews, reports perspective. So we kind of do it globally. Although we operate out of India, our readership is global.
Well, okay. And how many readers are there?
There are close to 350,000 people visiting us every month, and close to 90,000 subscribers.
Wow.
Majorly, if I say, it's majorly North America, India, Singapore, Philippines, Australia, and UK. So major English-speaking
And
countries.
how did you start it? You were an educator yourself, or an entrepreneur?
No, not really. So we started because
I'm sure you were a student.
Yeah, I was a student then. My intention was to kind of educate the market on what exists. So we were thinking of reviewing what existed then. It was around the days of SaaS bubble, wherein institutions started to adopt global platforms as well, not just India-based platforms, but it was applicable across the globe. So we started reviewing them with a small educator network we had then, and we started publishing that on our blog. And that blog actually grew into more of a holistic media platform when the community members and the readers started asking for more information around this sector.
Wow.
So we started developing news, trends, insights, infographics, reports, etc. on the sector, and then we understood each stakeholder differently. And whatever we did online, we started to do it offline as well, in form of smaller seminars, professional development workshops,
about what?
Events around leading in the digital age. And when I say that, it's around leading, teaching, learning, teaching, and management. How technology is transforming all these three spectrums in an institution for a business.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so, can you tell us a bit about what are the main trends today?
Sure. So I think if I talk about global perspective, it's very it's common across. The AI in education is the biggest trend that I see now, because any company, whether it's a test prep company, it's an AR VR company, and how they are making use of AI in general is something I see as a biggest trend from how I see it. And then also the AR VR companies, the value that it can bring to the education and training industry. That's one of the things that I'm seeing. And then if I talk more contextual in context of India, like STEM education is like huge. So robotics, 3D printing, and otherwise math learning is huge. And there are various models coming up for providers to kind of explore this with institutions, parents, and community as a whole.
Sounds amazing. But you said AI, and AI is a tool.
Yeah.
And all the EdTech are tools, but they need to serve educational purpose and educational goal. So what are the main goals or applications that you see today that are being used for AI?
I think for AI currently it's more around adaptive learning, or how you kind of adapt to the user and the user engagement of on the platform. So although it's also being used in some cases for understanding
adaptive learning or personalized learning.
I think both. So these are not same things, but like I think it's almost doing
different
the same
scale.
thing. Yes, doing almost the similar thing for the platform basically. So I also AI in terms of like helping in assessment of the student is something that is becoming big in terms of dashboards, analytics, reports for understanding the learner and their learning outcomes. So that's becoming a big thing. Yeah.
Can you give us an example for something that a specific startup that that you would tell us about it a little bit?
Sure. So it's no more a startup, I would say, but there's a company called Mbibe in India, which is positioned very well for the use of AI in education. What they did is they started kind of training students on test prep examinations, and they made sure that how they improve the results is kind of a process defined with the help of AI. So with AI and recommendation engines and kind of the platform in itself becoming the powerful tool for student learner, they have been able to produce quality results in terms of test prep examinations. Yeah.
Oh, very interesting.
But
what level?
Why I say it's no more a startup, because they have already raised 180 million.
180 million.
180 million from one of the telecom giants in India.
Yeah. Amazing. And which age group does it serve?
It's high school.
High school.
Yeah.
Okay. And most of the edtech in India is for high school or for elementary, or it's spread out?
Yeah, it's very well spread out. So all the publishers majorly do everything from pre-primary to kind of even higher education and beyond. But if you talk about career-related products, then it's obviously a little towards higher school.
Amazing. Yeah. I saw that you wrote an article about what do you know about education in Israel. A couple of years ago. Yeah. So what do you know about education in Israel?
So I think when I wrote about that, my exposure was limited, but I think through the education innovation tour that we did with Vibe Israel, it's an non-profit organization based out of Tel Aviv, and they helped us understand why it is called the Startup Nation, why the students and learners start young, and how the ecosystem is supporting them, because of one key reason that the market in itself is a little smaller.
Yeah.
How from day one people start thinking about going global.
Yeah.
And that helps the overall ecosystem and nation as a whole, specifically in education and even otherwise as a startup ecosystem. Yeah.
And what brings you to Israel?
So for me, again, because of hearing such great innovations about Israel, I wanted to meet some of them who are working on some innovative products in this country, specifically solving for education or workspace, and obviously meet the people who are looking at international markets, specifically India or Asia, who might be interested in kind of possible synergies with us.
Yeah. Amazing. Is there something that you can share with us that you are now in connection with an Israeli company, or it's not something that you can share in this moment?
In terms of like those who have met? Yeah. So I think we are evaluating some partnerships in the country, and then I'm talking to eTeacher Group for them to kind of analyze one of their products in the coding space. Then I met Anoto, who was kind of working on the corporate learning space. Then I am kind of speaking to Example, which is in the test prep space. They are figuring out B2B in India, so we are trying to work with them.
Very interesting. Yeah. And most of our listeners and viewers are people that are entrepreneurs. A lot of them, some of them are teachers, some of them are let's say only entrepreneurs in the edtech or at all. And do you have any recommendation for them if they want to go globally?
I think my recommendation starts with that you have to understand the market deeply, and it's not just a copy paste in each market. So like I was speaking in a lot of meetings just before this, that you have to be sure that this model will be applicable, not just the product will be applicable. So it all depends on the business model around the whole product. So it's not just anymore only about the product. It's also around the business model you have to create
how you can
for each country or each
model.
Different international markets. So it's
and you
not
see
just
a big differentiation between countries?
I do, but you can call it big if you have already made a mistake of not knowing that. But it's not that big if you actually understand the ecosystems well. And it's not just language translation, to be frank, to make sure that you enter another country. It's much more than that in terms of understanding the culture, ecosystem, players, and then also models that work and pricing models that work. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Utkarsh. Thank you for coming here.
Thank you so much for the invite. Yeah. Have a good one.